All this simply does not square with the breezy explanation that, for every last crop circle, people just went into a field and knocked over some plants. It just doesn't add up. Other physical evidence includes radioactive changes to the plants, or the soil, inside circles. These radioactive changes are not outside the circle and are not found in nature. Also, in some circles, the electromagnetic impact on plants is the greatest at the inner part of the circle, and then decreases as you get farther from the center. I could go on and on. There is much more data, much more evidence. But, you get the idea. My point is, weird things are happening in some crop circles. Enough that Janet's unsupportable theory is not close to being plausible. It is, in fact, utterly ridiculous.
Janet, back to you. Do you have a response?
You bet I have a response. These so-called studies of plants. The fact is, there are lots of books and articles about crop circles but very little actual scientific research. Science needs peer review. Science needs studies that have been reproduced. Science needs numerous scientists. You have none of that.
That is simply not true. To point out just two examples, biophysicist William Levengood of the University of Michigan and physicist Richard Taylor of the University of Oregon, they, and others, have published peer review papers debunking your theory. Unfortunately, there is not more scientific research and discussion in this area. The reason? Closed-minded people like you make it too risky and embarrassing to study the topic more.
How can you find any of this convincing? You are talking about isolated, fringe findings from fringe nut jobs.
The nerve. We are talking about respected scientists who, as a reward for their courage, are unfairly made laughingstocks and are dismissed by dishonest, condescending skeptics. Skeptics who, instead of relying on data, are so certain that they know everything, and are smarter than everyone else, that they ignore the evidence.
Yeah, okay. Right. Evidence of exactly what? Green-skinned aliens. Is that what we're talking about here?
Maybe. Maybe not. I have no idea. The point is, the theory that humans make them all is fundamentally flawed. It does not fit the evidence.
It is better to be a little skeptical of extraordinary claims, for which there is almost no evidence, than to be a wide-eyed, gullible fool who will believe basically anything.
Okay. Listen, I have a feeling we're not going to move this discussion forward much more. When it comes to crop circles, maybe there is more than just pranksters and artists. Maybe, but maybe not. I'll leave it to the listener to decide. Please take the poll on the top of the video, to share what you think. However, I will say one thing that I think we all agree on. More study is needed. Debates that lack sufficient data can produce heat, but not light, as I think we have just seen. But, guess what? That's all the time we have. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Art. And thanks to each and every one of you for tuning into another episode of What is True?